at the show, everything's set up, and Cassius goes up to Sam. Hey Sam, Sean's gonna be my new manager. And Sam is like, all right, okay, whatever. That is that a yes or is that a no?
Right.
It's not telling me anything, right? So I reluctantly get dressed, right?
Mhm.
And as I'm getting dressed, Cassius's manager shows up. And I'm like, what the fuck? So Cassius's music hits. Whoever ring announced was ring announcing that day. And they say managed by Zom. This is Cassius. And it was like, okay. And I'm standing there because I didn't go out. And Sam looks, what are you doing? Thought you were managing him. Get out of there. Sam, but it'd be too bad. Get out there. Okay. You ain't got to tell me twice.
Yeah.
You know. And like the funny part, like, didn't know what to do. I just knew to be a heel
Hmm.
because Cassius was a heel. So it was like, okay. Uh, but it was the greatest feeling in the world.
And
I,
this is the debut of C Red. This is
yeah,
the first time the fans
perfect.
see C
Yeah,
Red. Wow.
yeah. And it was like, for me, I was more prouder that uh, my wife, my two of my daughters,
Hmm.
got to see me. Like I've been doing this.
Yeah.
Now I'm coming into fruition. So uh, to see my wife then, um, like it was that feel good moment, and like I've arrived. Like the world is gonna know who C Red is. So
And how long did you go managing Cassius for? Like, was that just like a one and done thing, or were you guys
no,
together for some time?
so during that time,
Yeah.
uh, again, me being me, I managed Cassius. Um, and again, with best of friends. And Marche, who was ultimate babyface, uh, at belts, he turned heel and won the lightweight title.
Okay.
Um, and like nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming because he was like, look at his face even now. He still looks like a babyface.
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
so for him to turn heel, and it was a thing. So our special guest for belts that year was AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, and they were
Wow.
feuding in I want to say TNA. Yeah.
Hmm.
So like it was Marche, it was Marche versus Isaiah or whoever it was, and Marche won the belt, and then it was just nobody saw it, and it was like, okay, let's get Marche. The kid is athletic. The kid is he's special. Like I again, this is the guy that kept me in this business. I'm
Yeah.
like, we gotta have Cat. We gotta have Marche. And it was like, okay. And then my wife starts wrestling.
Is this Crystal
No, Diamond.
Diamond? Okay, that was close. I told you, man. I don't know a lot. I just know some things, and yeah, sometimes I'm wrong.
No,
Diamond.
and that's all right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. What was it spelled? Dymond?
Yep.
Okay, I did see that. Okay, okay.
So that was a fluke. Um,
Mhm.
we did a show. We did a bot show. And see, the thing that people don't understand is if somebody buys a bot show,
Yeah,
they, you are providing so many matches and so many specific things on that contract. So that particular show, they asked for one WWE former star or of that caliber, right? And they wanted a woman's title match. Uh, or it didn't even say title match, it just said a woman's match.
yeah.
Well, the women's champion at the time no showed, and her opponent showed up but said she wasn't wrestling because she had just started a new job and she wasn't going to get hurt Saturday and not be able to start on Monday. So
Yeah.
we have no women, right? Me and my wife are on a breakfast cruise down at Navy Pier, where you go around the lake.
Mhm.
My phone has been blowing up, but you can't get a signal. Back then, wasn't all this wonderful technology, so I couldn't get a signal. Wasn't until we got back to the car and I realized my phone has blown up. And one of the calls was my trainer, Damian Dunn. And he was like, "Hey, man, Sam wants to know if your wife is coming with you today." The hell? Why you? This is crazy.
Not a good way to start out a question.
Right.
Yeah.
So I call him back. I call Damien back.
Mhm.
And he tells me, what has happened.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, man, if we don't provide a women's match, like the company can be sued, this can be it, because we didn't we they advertised that it would be a women's match on the card." And it was like, "Okay, well, bruh, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Bring your wife, have her bring some gym shoes or something cute to look good in, uh, and she's gonna wrestle." What the fuck? Okay, but I'm excited because I'm like, so, but now I've got to explain to her,
Yeah.
I need you to do this. So
And how
we
much training
drive.
has she has at this
None.
point?
She has
None.
never been in the ring.
Wow.
Ever. Ever.
Were you the only one married at the time? Like, did they go down a list of like?
No,
Wow.
I was one of the ones that if I was on the show, my
Yeah.
family came.
Gotcha. Okay.
Even regardless if I'm not even on the show,
Mhm.
like I'm a rookie,
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Mhm.
My family wanted to go. So, you load up the kids uh and our youngest was probably one at the time, if that, a few months maybe. Like she was that baby you would pass. Hey, can you watch her while we go?
I gotta go take this bump real quick. Can she sit here for like 5 minutes? Like,
Right. So, luckily, one of the other guys was bringing a girl. At the time, he lived in St. Louis, so he
mhm.
was driving up for the show, and he was bringing a girl uh, worker with him. So we figured we put them both in a match together. So it was like literally, you know, while we're setting up everything and like they're in another part of the building, she's trying to teach you just basic stuff,
Yeah.
uh, a headlock, a clothesline. you know, just stuff that the other girl can give her or and she can take and vice versa. And it was like, okay. And she got bit after the first night. Like, and it was just like easy. Like, we don't have music. She needs a song. What song was hot at the time? Diamonds Are Forever by Kanye. So it was like, let's go, let's go. So I'm
So
like,
she got her name based off the song that you guys used.
yeah,
Oh, that's perfect.
because her real name is Angel. But Wendy
Mm.
C had already had an angel
Yeah.
through. So I never wanted the two to be confused. So I'm like, no, Diamond. But we're gonna spell it a different way. I'm like, we're gonna do DY.
Yeah. Make it
So
unique, make it different, kind of like C Red.
right.
Yeah.
So so she signed up to start a training. Literally, Sam was like, you were awesome. I need to see you in my office Tuesday. What? Like, Sam, I ain't finished paying my contract off yet. Like, what are you doing, dude? You trying to rob my house? Like, damn. But I will say, Sam, then, he sat us down and cut us a break. Like,
Yeah.
he was like, she can start hers at this price and you're done if she signs. And it was like, well, shit, that's a no-brainer. Get the
Yeah.
sign, woman. You know?
That's a pretty great payoff too, especially if because of her they're able to avoid a situation at the show. So
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty cool payoff. I I feel like a little jealous for you though, knowing that your wife had like her first match before ever going through training compared to what you had to go through.
She
Tell me
had
about
her
that.
first match before a real match.
Yeah,
No, I didn't get that.
yeah.
Not in Windy City.
Like, and I feel bad for you. Like I like if that happened to me, like, and I can be petty sometimes. If that happened to me, I'm like, I went through the training, I put up the rings, I got beat the shit out of, but she's wrestling.
Dude, if
So
you knew how much there were times where there was so much animosity between me and her and that she didn't know. Baltazar used to love to have her come on Tuesday nights because they would treat her with kid gloves. They would still treat her semi rough,
yeah.
but like, if it was something that they weren't sure, they would
Mhm.
try it with her, see if she could do it, you know. But me, oh, they just kicked the shit out of me. Bruh. Like,
Well, they got your money already.
no, it was favoritism. And he knows
Mm.
to this day, he tells everybody that I quit Tuesday nights because they did become a problem. Because what do we do with the kids? You know, if both of us are on training on Tuesdays, that it couldn't work. So
What were the training schedules like for Windy City back then?
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, some Sundays, uh, Tuesday and Thursday night. Mostly you got started at 5 until whenever the trainer decided they were done. Uh,
Gotcha.
Saturdays were 9, usually like 9 to 1, and same thing for Sundays if somebody was willing to come in and open up.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like all training is the same because that's what the dojo's training schedule is like, and that's why it was hard for me because I was always moving from day shift to night shift. So when I started training, I was working day shift, going to wrestling school at night. But then my job moved me to night shift, and they told me like, if you can't work night shift, we can't keep you, and I needed to keep the job. So were you guys? So when you go through training, like, does like let's say like do the beginners train with the advanced, or did they have separate things going for you guys? Like when you start out compared to guys who are doing it for like say a year, like do you guys all train together doing the same stuff,
We
or
did the
this is
calisthenics
yeah,
together. Everybody did that. But then when it was time for in-ring work, uh, again, it was about the boots.
hmm
Uh, but if you were more advanced and you had boots, you got in the ring. If you
gotcha.
didn't, you were still on the ground, and a lot of times you get frustrated because it would, some of
hmm
the drills you like, I could have did that. I could have did that, you know, but
Yeah.
you never did. So it was like, oh, that sucks. So, so yeah. So it wound up being me, Cassius, my then wife Diamond, and Marche, and we called ourselves the Cure.
Okay. Is that because you're a fan of the Cure, the band?
No, it was
Oh,
totally
okay.
opposite. Cure had its own uh, acronym that I cannot remember because it's been that long. But we called ourselves the Urban Remedy. So I was the Urban Sensation. Diamond was the Urban Jewel. Marche was the Urban Idol. And Cassius was the Urban like agitator or something crazy. And it was like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
So we ran with the Cure for a while.
Gotcha.
Um, then I got the idea. I'm tired of Windy City, and not in the sense that I was ready to quit,
Yeah.
but there was a rule with Sam couldn't work for other companies.
Yeah. What was that about?
Dude,
Like,
that was them and other companies protecting their brand, and I can get it to a
yeah.
certain extent. Um, because think about it, if this Saturday, Travis, if you could pay to see Marche Rocket and he's at his home fed, right?
Yeah.
The tickets are $20. But if you go see him next week
hmm
at another fed, the tickets are $5. And it's 10 minutes from your house.
Yeah.
Which show are you gonna go see?
Oh, I'll go to the $5. That's a closer drive. That so so is that why? Or I guess first question is Windy City really the only company that was like that back then? Because I
No.
know it's not really like that happening now. Like obviously everyone's going everywhere nowadays. I'm sure there's still companies kind of like that. Um, but I also know talking a little bit to Ivan, we didn't really get into details about it. We don't have to get into details here. Um, but is that why Windy City had an issue with LWF? Because I heard there was a huge problem with them back in the day. I just never like
So the problem, Windy City had a problem with everybody.
it was because like they believed Windy City was at a certain level and everyone else just couldn't meet that.
Yeah, I think so. And that Windy City had been around the longest.
hmm
Windy City started up north, you
Yeah.
know, working, places like the amphitheater. Nobody was working buildings like the amphitheater. Everybody was running out of small venues, you know.
VFW halls,
Right,
schools, park
right,
district buildings. Yeah.
right. Windy City had its own studio
Yeah.
that looked like a studio. They were on TV, So they when it came to Chicago wrestling, they were the top of the list.
Yeah.
There was nobody else. I think the biggest issue with LWF was none of those guys were trained. They were self-made, you know,
Yeah.
and now a lot of those guys are still around, you
hmm
know, but nobody wants that competition breathing down their neck, especially when you find out they're starting to pick up momentum, you know. Like think about WWE and AEW now, you know,
Yep.
it was like, oh wow, WWE was kind of we'll just put whatever out there because there's no
Mhm.
competition.
Yeah, it's weird because like so when I was and I love the fact that you talk about how you went to LWF because LWF was my first ever indie show, and obviously it's because of Acid. I sat there with my brother, my dad, my aunt and my cousin and all them were watching Acid in the ring. It's like, my dad's not a wrestling fan. He doesn't enjoy it. He likes he said he pretty much gave up on wrestling after like Haystacks Calhoun, Classy Freddie Blassie. He's like, because those guys, they got into the ring and wrestle. They don't jump around and everything. He's like an old school dude. So my love of wrestling was just me. No one in my family is a huge wrestling fan. They love that I do this because it's a hobby. But I guess whatever I'm doing other than eating, they support. It's whatever. But I used to go to LWF probably a few times in like, I want to say it had to been like 98, 99, 2000 ish. But I don't recall, and my memory's not that great anyways, but I don't recall ever seeing like a lot of the guys that people say have been there. Braun the Lumberjack, I don't remember. CM Punk, I don't remember ever seeing or CM Venom. Obviously, I know Billy Whack. Yeah, but I know they were there, but I for some reason they just never stick out to me. The only people that stick out to me is Acid, Supreme, Jay Jensen, Magnificent Mike. There was this group that had this big dude called Charcoal in it, and this weird little small kid named Pet. Like I remember like a handful of people, but like everyone like when they talk about like, oh, this guy was there, this guy was there, it's like that stuff I don't remember. And then as I moved on and got older and I started going to shows on my own, the first show I that got me back into wrestling was New Breed Wrestling Alliance, where I saw you. And I actually there was a story I wanted to tell. And this isn't about me, but I wanted to tell this story again at the live appreciation night. But I know Steve was kind of like rushing people through. The first time I heard of you was Newbury Wrestling Alliance, and I remember mentioning that. But I saw the poster on MySpace at the time, and it said "T damn it" with, and what I thought I read was "cred." And I'm saying, like, that's a pretty badass name. Like, this guy's he has cred. Like, there's an accreditation to this guy, cred. It's a perfect name. And then when he said C-Red, I'm like, yeah, that works too. Yeah, that's fine too. I was like, I see, like, thank God I didn't start chanting cred because I didn't know anyway. So I was like, I gotta chant for people I love. And I'm a big fan of powerhouses. So Team Dammit was my favorite team at New Breed Wrestling Alliance, especially when everyone yells "Aw, damn" before they just destroyed people. Trauma and Willie were probably still my favorite big guy tag team. But anyway, so what I was talking about was like, so when I started getting back into wrestling, New Breed Wrestling Alliance, and people started talking about indie wrestling in the time that I missed, they talked about LWF, Vanguard, and Windy City. I knew nothing about POW, CSW, and all that stuff. But
Well,
anyways, I'm sorry.
CSW wasn't even around.
POW was though, right? POW started
Out.
like, yeah.
Right.
So a lot of these companies they kind of started happening after what I refer to on the Mr. Bill Classic as an exodus. Like there was one moment where everyone just kind of walked out. And I think POW and Vanguard came out of that. I'm sure other companies did
No,
too.
POW was already established.
POW was okay. So let me get back to you then. Dude, by the way, I'm loving this. By the way, I enjoy the fact that when you're not interrupted, the stories just come out of you and it's beautiful. And Steve needs to take notes on that. It's fantastic. Um, so okay, so we're at the point now where you're finding your time to leave Windy City. So what happens at that
Again,
point?
it wasn't so much as leave, but again, I didn't like that rule.
Mhm.
Like if so, what had happened? Uh,
Yeah.
there was a company that was trying to start. It was their first show. They had seen me in Marche, and they wanted us on their show.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, oh shit. And so I believe if I was going to be a manager, I
Mhm.
wanted to be a manager. So in that sense, business wise, I took Paul Ellering and James J. Dillon, and I made it me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the bookings. And so when this company asked us, I said, okay, we didn't have a Windy City date, so we were good because that was the only company we were working for.
Yeah.
So I went to Sam. I lied. I said, Sam, there's a show, this company, and they're running about 3 hours away, uh, and they want to book me and Marche. Oh, go ahead. Great, no problem, no problem. It's not like he probably mentioned LWF or somebody. I was like, no, Sam, it's a brand new company, uh, and they want to book us. Well, what are they paying you guys? So I already knew he was gonna try to get his little cut. So I had worked out, I think, like $50 for me and Marche
His cup for what?
because we're Windy City. So, it
Okay.
wouldn't be uncommon, promoters, if they sent talent other places back
Yeah.
then, they got a cut of that.
Gotcha. So at Windy City, like you're allowed to wrestle other places, but it has to be outside of like a certain radius of Windy City, or
Yep.
okay. So if you're like, so if you
Sam
want to
really
take a
didn't want you to wrestle anywhere else. But if you felt it was an opportunity,
yeah,
it couldn't be uh, in Illinois. And it was like, okay. So I
gotcha.
just lied and told him it was 3 hours away in Indiana somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I
he
mean,
was
depending on
like,
which way you take, it could be.
dude, but the show was in Orland.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you lied.
So, like, here's what it is. Like,
hmm
I wanted the opportunity.
Yeah.
And uh, once I saw that, that was it, dude, for me. Like, we're taking bookings, bro. Like, we are taking bookings. So the mass exodus happens. Now, I can tell the story if you want.
Hey man, I got all the time in the world for you, man. And like I said, like whatever you want to talk about, it's not that it was like hush hush upon. We just never really dove into it, but
Well,
I
I can
do
dive
want to hear.
into it. I
Yeah,
can
I
dive into
oh I do. I
it.
definitely want to hear the story, 100%.
So by this time, Team Dammit, they came back to Windy City.
Okay.
But this time it was Trauma, Billy. It wasn't the original Team Dammit. It was Team Dammit 2.0. So
Okay.
it was Willie, Trauma, uh, Rudo Cortez of Los Mexicanos. Uh, so I was friends with everybody. So I was like, let's just create a new super group.
hmm
Now nobody had did this. So uh, it's funny because it was our Halloween Monster Bash show. And I kept telling Sam, we're adding to the cure. Who are you adding? Team Dammit. Willie? Yeah. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right. And I think a lot of times Sam just dismissed me and didn't realize, damn, I have a brain. So I
Yeah.
see bigger. But now you've got me. So he didn't understand what I was really doing. And I was making a powerhouse. Like
hmm
I ran Windy City and Urban because I had me, Diamond, Cassius, Marche, the Dunn brothers, Damian Dunn, and his brother, whatever we were calling him, uh, and all of us held belts. And now I'm bringing that's five, and now I'm bringing in Willie, Trauma, and Rudo. That's 8 people in this faction. We were
Yeah.
NWO before NWO, like, and
hmm
Sam hated it. Like he hated. Oh, and Zom came back. Cash is his original manager, but he started wrestling more. It's like,
Yeah.
bruh, we 9 deep in these streets.
Mhm.
Like, what other faction? Like, bring on Nightbreed. We don't care. It's only 2 of y'all. Like, it's
Right.
9 of us, bruh. We ain't, you know.
Mhm.
And then everybody had to click up,
Yeah.
right? So this faction and this fact, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So let's get to the mass exodus.
Oh, real quick. One more quick question before you do. Um, where was the Brotherhood at the time of the cure? Was Brotherhood before all this?
Brotherhood never left.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
So the Brotherhood has been the staple of Windy City.
Gotcha. Now,
Uh,
was there ever like a battle between, because Brotherhood was fairly big too, right? Like they had like 5, 6 people or something. Like people would come and go, whatever, but they would still be
yeah,
there.
but see, that's the thing. During our time,
Yeah.
it was only Ivan, Ripper, Psycho, Cheeks. Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
And,
So
and
there were a lot of Brotherhood members, but they were never collectively there at the same time. Like some would leave, some would
early
join
on,
up. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But when I got in, it was just them. So it's like again, we'll take on the Brotherhood too.
Mhm.
We ain't worried about it.
Gotcha. All right, Max Exodus. Exodus. Let's hear what happened. I'm excited for this. This is awesome.
So we show up for our Saturday meeting,
Mhm.
and the crazy part is we have a show that night.
Okay.
So we're all at the meeting, and Sam announces we had moved buildings. So now we're in a actual building, smaller, but he turned the front part of the building really into a gym. So Sam has really invested in gym equipment, and he has opened the gym to the public. So they pay a fee, like any other gym membership.
Yeah.
They pay a fee and they can come work out. They just couldn't get in the ring. So we're at the building, and Sam says there's going to be some changes. Okay, what kind of changes, Sam? He says, all right, Baltazar, you are the Windy City heavyweight champion, but you are now the urban heavyweight champion. Trauma, you are now the Windy City champion. What? Marche Rocket, you were the inner city champion. Rudo, you are now the inner city. So, like, he just switched titles off people.
Like without win or losing, just acting like it never, like, this is what it's always been, kind of thing.
Just this is my company. I do what the hell I want to.
Okay.
And everybody was like, what the fuck? Like, no match, no nothing. Everybody is supposed to go out there tonight. Like, think about Baltazar and Trauma.
Hmm.
That was never a match. But
Yeah.
now Baltazar has to go out and be the urban champ, and Trauma is the Windy City champ. Like, so it didn't sit right with a lot of people.
Yeah. It kind of does. It's not kind of. It definitely doesn't make sense on like why that would happen. It's.
Didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they tried to talk to Sam. Sam didn't want to hear it. One person told me that those were Sam's words. It's my company. I do what the hell I want to.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay. Uh, so everybody didn't like quit that day, but the seeds were planted. Like, if this is what he's gonna start doing,
Hmm.
like, we don't want no part of it. And
No.
actually, that gave birth to Vanguard. Uh, and
Okay.
a lot of us went to Vanguard. Baltazar, me, Diamond, Marche, uh, Trauma, Willie, um, Damian Dunn, Ivan Manson, Stud Muffin, Frankie, uh, Isaiah Velasquez, Jordan Pride, like just a whole handful of, like a ton of us, from people that been there already to young cats that had just started. Like we just, and they started Vanguard, and it was like, okay, uh, this is cool. Uh,
Yeah.
and there, I love my time at Vanguard also. Um,
What year was this where Vanguard started up?
Damn it, I don't have my damn notes. I couldn't tell you. I can't tell you. I
I mean, you just ballpark it. Were we talking like '07
can't.
or
Maybe '06.
'06?
Maybe. I'm not. See, you want me to lie. And the crazy part is, I'm asked to. Somebody wants to do a book about the Soul Touchers, and I had a whole timeline. Um, and and at one point, I did have it.
Well, I know New Breed Wrestling Alliance was around '05, '06.
Yeah,
So Vanguard was before that? It had to have been, right?
yeah,
Okay. So we're talking like maybe like 2003, 2004.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I never went to a Vanguard show. I haven't talked about Vanguard a lot. Obviously, I know he mentioned that's where he went after leaving Windy City. Uh did you ever make it to LWF to actually be part of the show, or was LWF kind of done by this point?
They were done by that
They
time.
were done by that time. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So what? So how did you ever get a chance to wrestle at Windy City, or your career there was managing?
Just battle royals, and I mean, I
Battles.
was so no, I take that back. Um, so the first time
Hmm.
is the night, and this how Sam is, and again, I love Sam. I owe him a lot, but we were going into belts, and everybody kept saying, "Sam, Sam doesn't have a match," and people would joke about it, Sam, you gonna get on the card, Sam, you know. And I told Sam, I'll wrestle you. And Sam was like, huh? Me and you.
Hmm.
Like the teacher versus the student. I said, you gonna whip my ass, but I said, in my head, in front of the crowd, it's belts, TV crew. Oh, this is a perfect opportunity for me.
Yeah.
So I cut promos. I cut two promos on Sam. And I will send you those promos after we're done.
Yes.
Because the funny part is, Marche's in both of them, and you get to see how small Marche is. Um,
I still kind of remember Marche from the Soul Touchers Elite Pro era. I don't know if he could have gotten any smaller than that. If he did,
yeah,
I gotta see it. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, so we had built up this big old thing where it was gonna be Sam
Hmm.
versus C-Rad, and
Yeah.
we get to the building, and I'm geeked, but I keep hearing people say, Sam ain't gonna go through with it. He ain't gonna go through with it. He's not gonna go through with it. I'm like,
Yeah.
how can he not? I done cut promos and put videos out on him. Like, what? So of course we get to the building and he tells me he's not gonna do it. He's not feeling 100%.
Mm.
And I'm like, but damn, okay, so what do we do now? Like, you got me geeked up to wrestle. He said, oh, you're going to wrestle the referee. What? He was like, so the referee wanted to wrestle and
Yeah.
he would wear, which was just total idiocy to me. Uh, because the referee will put on a lucha mask. It's like, dude, but we still know it's you. Like,
Mhm.
like you don't change your name. It's his name was V Factor, but he still like he referee V Factor, he wrestles V Factor. Like,
So there's no point in the mask then.
right, right.
Yeah.
So he was like, so you guys got like 3 minutes, and it was like, okay, so uh, Ripper comes out. Uh, so the Brotherhood was mad because Diamond had just beat Cheeks
Mhm.
for the title with an instant roll up. Like, she wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Diamond pins her. Brotherhood is pissed off. So it's time for me versus Sam. Ripper interjects and says, no, you're not wrestling this arrow tonight because of your foolishness. You're going to wrestle V Factor. What? So, you know, the guy was much smaller than, way smaller than me, like
Mhm.
85 pounds soaking wet. So I let him get all this stuff in. I lose. Um, and I didn't care about the winning and the losing part
Yeah.
because, again, all of these people, my kids are front row, you know. Uh, but then Sam did the right thing. So at the end of the night, before the main event, it was the Battle Royal, which was always a staple in Windy City. Um, and I won the Battle Royal.
That's
And
awesome.
I had my legit Shawn Michaels moment, like cried in the ring with the
Mhm.
belt, uh, because I was able to look at my kids and say, I've accomplished my dream,
That's
you know?
awesome.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Was
yeah.
it one of those 120 person 3 ring things?
No, thank God, not this night.
Yeah, I didn't know that thing existed until
Yeah,
I did the interview with Terry
yeah.
because I was telling Terry Hunter I was like 70 that's got to be the biggest right like no when you
Uh,
say 120 I'm like
120.
oh Jesus
3 rings, dude. It's there's footage. I don't know where. I used to have all my tapes. I
yeah
don't have them anymore. But yeah, that was to see 3 rings full of people,
Mhm.
collapse down to one ring, and then,
Yeah
but yeah, so I'm excited for 70. We'll see what happens. See how much gas I got left in the tank.
well we can't get to Saturday yet man because we only got through like 4 years of your career so far we still
I
got
know.
another like 16 to talk about um so okay so you left Windy City you went to Vanguard now obviously C Red has been you the entire time.
Yeah,
And you've had I know of 3 factions, but a Cure makes I guess 4. You went to Vanguard. What was your experience at Vanguard like, especially after leaving Windy City, knowing that you still got the guys you trained with and came up with, but now it's not Windy City. It's almost kind of like you're on an island of your own now, and you're able to kind of make like your own C Red. You can make C Red you now. Like what was your mindset going into Vanguard, and knowing you're finally outside of Windy City?
um, I looked at it like any other company at this point.
Yeah.
We had started taking bookings again, as you mentioned, New Breed with Team
Mhm.
Dammit. Like I was the legit free agent. Like, let's go. Whoever
Yeah.
wants anybody, book us. Let's go. We
Yeah.
will work. Um,
Yeah. Did you guys keep the cure together after Windy City or no?
so in Vanguard,
Yeah.
we took on the moniker the VIP family.
Okay.
Uh, so strictly just VIP. Because I started incorporating other talent that
Yeah.
necessarily wouldn't uh, fit with what I thought the cure represented. So we started bringing in like people like Lamar Titan. Um, Again, we kept Damian Dunn. We kept Trauma. Just like Willie stayed at Windy City.
Oh well. Okay.
Which was bananas. Like, how do you stay, bro? Like,
Mm.
but like for the gist of us, most of us, like I wanted something different. Um, so here's a cool, interesting fact. Again, especially since we're talking, um, me and Cassius uh, are Christians,
Yeah.
and Windy City allowed Cassius to run shows called Bible Pro Wrestling.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool.
Uh, so we would tell stories uh, through the Bible
Hmm.
and by wrestling. Uh,
That's
well,
pretty cool.
we were told by Sam that he owns Bible. So, okay, we said, all right. So we just changed it and we called it Word Pro Wrestling. Uh, and again, it had its own acronym, but the concept was still the same. That we told
Yeah.
Bible stories uh, to people, uh, and I am very proud of it. If nothing else, we did a show in Wisconsin, uh, and 9 people gave their life to God that day based off our show.
That's really cool. That's
Like,
you see, God, that's why
that's
wrestling's great, man. I mean,
that's
that's awesome.
one of my highlights. People like, well, what about this belt or what about that? No, that for me is a personal high.
Yeah.
Knowing that uh, me and I'll just call him Dwayne. Uh, we sat down, we hammered out what we were going to put on this show. Uh, and of course, the biggest seller is always Jesus' death, So how do you pull that off in a wrestling ring, and have him come back,
Mhm.
and, you know, it worked. Again, it worked that day. 9 people. It was like that drive back felt so satisfying. Like, if nothing else, God, we did your work that day. So,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
and like talking to a lot of the guys in the business, like their whole thing is like, when you want to put on a show, you want to draw the fans into it. And I don't think you could draw a fan in any more than finding a way to, to save them or to bring them, to a higher power. Dude, that's been, I never heard that before. No one's ever talked about that before. That's awesome.
yeah. So that was Dwayne's baby. But when we got together and sat down and really, I think it was just he needed somebody to help take the load off,
Yeah.
help him think about different logistics. And I knew more people because I had started branching out. So we didn't have to always use Windy City talent, you know.
Hmm.
So we could use Vanguard people. And if I needed to call somebody from this company, I could. Or, I started
Yeah.
to make connections.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
So,
I-
so after everyone left Windy City, was it Vanguard and POW everyone went to? I mean, obviously everyone's working everywhere. There's, now they have the ability to wrestle at any show, anywhere, anytime. But is POW and Vanguard now the the top competition, I guess, in a way to Windy City?
yes and no. I mean, because there were other AAW had been like, where did they come from? Like,
Mm-hmm.
they were that company that nobody saw coming,
Yeah,
and they had the money. Like, by one of their personalities working on the radio. Like, dude, you getting free advertisement
mm,
because every time you turn around, he was plugging their shows, you know. And then it's easier to get sponsors because you can tell them, hey, we've got on airtime free, you know.
yeah,
And so people started to buy into AAW. And they had a great product. They still
mm,
do. But I think AAW, PAL was there, but I think the top competition was AAW. And
okay,
again, they did the same thing. Like, if you worked for us, you know, you can't work anywhere else. Like, they told that to us when they wanted to hire the soul touchers. It was like, dude, we're the hottest shit going right now. What?
yeah. Doesn't
Oh,
having that mentality that could actually, I guess, in a sense, you look at it like it may benefit your company when you already have the guys inside it, but to take guys who just left a company that had the same policies, wouldn't it be very difficult to draw them into doing that all over again?
well, for me, again,
Yeah.
this happened much later because, again, it was the soul touchers.
Hmm.
But my thing was, dude, there are usually 4 weekends a month.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's five. Sometimes there's 5 Saturdays. You want
Hmm.
me to work for you for one Saturday
Yeah.
and miss out on 3 to 4 paydays? Are you
Yeah.
going to pay us that? Now, if you're going to cover what we would make,
Yeah.
then I'm fine with it. We're totally
Hmm.
exclusive. But if you're not going to do that, dude, no. And, so something that I didn't expound on. So once I got into this manager thing, like, I set goals for myself. So my first goal was to be the best manager in Windy City. I accomplished that. I
Yeah.
won manager of the year. Okay. Once I did that, I wanted to be the best manager in Chicago. And we're Chicago. We do things crazy. But there was a board. Remember the message boards everybody got on?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
So Chicago Pro Wrestling, right? And they did an end of the year ballot of who was the manager of the year. Who won that year? I did. So I accomplished that goal. And then I didn't say I wanted to be the greatest manager of ever. I can never compete with Cornette, Heenan, Heyman, you know, Ellering, my top.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be known. I
Mhm.
wanted people to know me. Um, so you're gonna stagger that if I'm only working in one company. Uh,
Yeah.
so um, I don't. I get the territory thing, and everybody wants to keep their talent, but it's like, dude, we got to make our money, dude. So
Mhm.
we were easy. Like, no, we're thankful. No, no thanks.
Yeah.
But the crazy part, then it rolled over to resistance. But that's another story. So yeah, Vanguard was there, but again, for me, the bigger picture was where else can we go?
Yeah.
Like, what other companies, and that's how, like, New Breed happened, that
Gotcha.
they
Well,
saw us.
Yeah. How did you get? How did? Or I'm guessing. I guess I don't want to guess. It's easier for me just to ask you here. So when you're looking at booking Team Dammit or booking Soul Touchers, whether it be New Breed Wrestling Alliance or Elite Pro, Vanguard, I guess I can see because you guys knew each other. But when you look at like Elite Pro or New Breed Wrestling Alliance, is it you guys reach out to them saying, "Hey, we're looking for bookings," or are they reaching out to you to say, "Hey, we're looking for a tag team to come in this, this date." How did that work, especially with you not only managing your bookings but managing your managed teams bookings?
So New Breed came through Trauma.
Okay.
Uh, the one thing that I love about Trauma, aka Jay Washington, Mister, I'm getting ready to have my own Netflix series. I am so proud of that dude. It's ridiculous. Um, they reached out to him, and said that they had saw some of the matches that he had put up,
Yeah.
and they asked, could we come down? And it was like they gave us the date, and he was like, well, there's three of us. There's two of us and our manager. And uh, he worked out the price because, again, we didn't know that there were talks. So
Yeah.
me and Willie didn't know. So when he hit us with it, it was like, well, what's the date? It was like, okay, where's it at? Danville. Where the fuck is Danville? Like, okay, bro, we'll go. Um, what Elite? The Soul Toucher was born and raised in Elite. That's the company that gave birth.
Oh, okay. See that I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I remember if I remember correctly, and again my memory is dog shit. Was it you, Marche, and Willie to begin with, and then Acid Jazz joined, or was Jazz part of it from the beginning?
no, the original. So you've got part of it right.
Okay.
It was just me and Willie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So me and Willie were booked. But again, we were a team, so Trauma would come along.
Yeah, and he was with like
Right.
Cash Inc. or something, right?
Yeah,
Like
but he
Q.
never got his shot.
Oh, okay.
Like he would show up with us,
Mhm.
you know, and Ben and Vito would see him and they knew who he was, but they just wouldn't give him that shot. Uh, and I don't think it was nothing against him. They just already, we booked the card. This is what it is.
Yeah.
And then finally, Ben and Vito come up to me and Willie and say, "Hey, uh, we want to do a tag team with you guys. Is there somebody else you want to bring in to make this tag team?" So, like, we both looked at each other, and it wasn't a knock against Trauma, but
Yeah.
everybody pretty much seen Team Damage. And I wanted to do something different.
Yo, yeah, and that's the thing too, is like even if you did Trauma and Willie together, what the Soul Touchers was is the complete opposite of Team Dammit. And I think I would agree with you. Like if I saw Trauma and Willie come out to Soldier Boy, I would be confused as fuck.
Right, considering Willie doesn't dance.
Guys,
So,
yeah, and I saw these guys a few years back destroy people in New Breed. So I guess I could see that point. Yeah.
so we instantly say Marche.
Mhm.
So they bring in Marche. Um, Now, the story of how Jazz gets in. So they decide we kind of made it a story, and
Yeah.
we kind of took it. So me and Diamond were going to the Bahamas for the next show. We couldn't be there. So we got to back up because it's your boy, Hunter Payne, aka Baltazar, right?
Yeah.
So Abaddon is already working for Elite, right?
Hmm.
So we do a match where it's it was either I want to say it was Marche and batting, or it might have been Willie in the batting, whoever it was. Uh, and at the end of the match, like we knew, Baltazar was gonna come out, save his partner, you know. But we're heels, they're supposed to be the faces, right? So we're in the ring, all three of us. We're laying the boots to batting. We're going to town. Baltazar is sitting in the back of the room with the audience. He literally gets up and takes like 3 steps, jumps over the guardrail to the point where his foot lands on the apron. And now he's in the ring. We're like, what the fuck? And we all know how he hits.
Yeah.
Me and Marche got the fuck out of Dodge. We left Willie ass in there. Like, we sorry, somebody got to be the sacrifice. So now we're supposed to cut this promo, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're heels, they're babies.
Yeah.
Baltazar grabs the mic and starts cutting a heel promo on us. And because the crowd doesn't understand who's this guy that was sitting with the fans a second ago, how he's in the ring now, and they're like, boo. So I'm like, okay, we'll deal with it. We'll make it work.